Father, since you've been ordained, have you ever had any doubts dealing with our Catholic faith? If so, why? That's a good, honest question. I can tell you honestly, and I always try to speak forthright. Part of my problem is I'm too forthright sometimes. You know, I probably should be more guarded in my speech at times. We all have defects. Maybe that's one of mine. But I can tell you honestly and forthrightly, which I always try to speak to you in that fashion, honestly and forthrightly, since I've been ordained, I have never once had the slightest difficulty with anything the Catholic Church teaches in faith and morals. And if I did, I would tell you straight out. I really would. I'd tell you, look, I've had trouble with this, and I struggle with that. I have never. I believe it all. I believe it all. Now, do I understand it all? No. I've studied theology a long time. I know what our Catholic faith teaches. I really do. I know it. But do I rationally and perfectly understand it all? No. You know, I would have to be God to understand it all. Then you could worship me. You know. And I'm not God, so you don't worship me. In order to know God fully, I'm talking about rationally, not by faith. Rationally and intellectually, you'd have to be God. Who can fathom the mind of God? Nobody except God. Okay? So I've had no difficulties in matters of faith. What the Catholic Church teaches in faith and moral, now that's a grace. I can't take it, I'm not bragging about that. This is a grace, no merit of my own. That's a grace God's given me. Can you imagine what good would I be if I had to struggle with my own faith? My goodness, how would I be able to teach and preach to you? I couldn't. That's like what the old lady said. Man, Father, you convinced me because you're convinced. You know, you got to be convinced to convince anybody. If I was struggling with this, that, and the other thing, and that's why, by the way, that's why the other guys can't teach anybody anything. That's why they can't convince anybody, because they don't believe it. You know, if you don't believe in the existence of the devil, or purgatory, or hell, or angels, or this, or that, or the other, well, what good are you? You know, I mean, who are you going to convince? Nobody. You got problems of faith yourself. You know, the doctor's sick. How's he going to help the patient? He's not. He's just going to sow the seeds of doubt and confusion.